I stood there in a daze, staring at the bridal makeup in the mirror. The jade earrings were Zhou Mingxuan's betrothal gift. They were so heavy they made the roots of my ears ache. Wedding noise seeped through 2 doors. Bridesmaid said the groom's family had one last toast. I waited in the bridal suite for the groom. The door locked. Nanny Chen pressed against it. She listened, then ran to me, pale. She had worked as the housekeeper of the Zhou family for 30 years. She'd served me since I married in. But right now, she looked like a completely different person. Her trembling hands couldn't undo my cheongsam buttons. "Miss, hurry, change clothes with me," Nanny Chen whispered. She pulled a dusty cloth bundle from the depths of the wardrobe. Inside, a worn cotton shirt. "Go out the back. Brother Ayuan is waiting for you at the alley entrance." My brain hadn't even caught up yet. Nanny Chen had already yanked the gold hairpin off my head. As the wig bun loosened, she put mint candy in my mouth. "Don't ask so many questions. Just do as I say." The sharp mint smell stung my nose until it burned. She stripped the dress, put on rough cotton. They smelled of mothballs. The back door was always bolted. Nanny Chen had somehow gotten hold of a key in advance. The moment she pushed open the wooden door, an alley draft rushed in, smelling of incense. Only then did I realize. Porcelain shattered from the banquet hall. Nanny Chen dragged me out. The stone path was rough. One slipper slipped off, broken tiles cut my foot. My foot was bleeding from the shards, but I couldn't afford to care. At the mouth of the alley was parked an unregistered black sedan. The headlights suddenly flared on. The driver rolled down the window. The familiar voice saying Nanny Chen made my entire body jolt. It was Brother Ayuan, who used to live next door when I was little. 3 years ago, he left for Kaohsiung, then vanished. The car turned the corner, a deafening roar behind. I looked out the rear window. The carved archway of the Zhou family estate was collapsing. Sparks and flames climbed the double happiness lanterns. Screams and glass shattering flooded my ears. Nanny Chen was slumped in the back seat, gasping for air. Her white temples wet with sweat. "They'd burn you alive." "Why?" I grabbed Nanny Chen's hand. My palms were covered in cold sweat. This afternoon, my mother-in-law smiled and gave me a red envelope. She said from now on, we were all one family. Zhou Mingxian sat with me, sharing union wine. How could they turn around and try to kill me just like that? Brother Ayuan glanced at me through the rearview mirror. He spun the wheel. "Don't ask yet. I'll explain there." The car circled Zhongxiao East Road 3 times. It finally stopped at an old warehouse by Keelung Harbor. Nanny Chen had Brother Ayuan stand guard at the door. She pulled a craft paper envelope from a cloth bundle. Inside were my ID card and several bank books. "Madam gave these to me before she passed." Nanny Chen's voice trembled when she mentioned my mother. "Before my mother died of cancer last year, she entrusted me to Nanny Chen's care. She said if anything felt wrong with the Zhou family, Brother Ayuan should take me to Kaohsiung to find my cousin." I opened the bank books. The accounts held 10 years of my mother's savings. There was also a note with red circles around the words, "Remember." Zhou Mingxian met Su Shouyue 3 times in Ximending in March. Su Shouyue is Zhou Mingxuan's college classmate. Last month he told me she'd gone to America. A horn blared. Nanny grabbed my wrist. "Miss, tonight's fire started in the bridal suite's wardrobe. They counted on you going in there to change." A chill. I recalled my dress fitting. There was a strange smell of kerosene in the wardrobe. I thought it was just the new wood furniture. Now I see it was all a trap. Brother Ayuan knocked and came in. He was holding a crumpled newspaper. The front page headline was about my father's company. The Zhou land deal loomed. "Dad died 6 months ago. I run the firm." Could it be they want to swallow this land? "Get some sleep first. We'll figure things out when it's light." Brother Ayuan draped his jacket over me. The canvas jacket smelled of sea salt. Just like when he used to fix my bicycle as a kid. I stared at the tin roof. Rain fell. My fingers unconsciously rubbed the pocket of my plain cotton shirt. Suddenly I felt something hard. It was half a shattered jade bracelet. Same pattern as Mom's. At dawn, Nanny Chen had fallen asleep against a cardboard box. Ayuan smoked by the door, ash glowing. I saw a fresh scar on the back of his hand. The Brother Ayuan in my memory was always smiling. He'd catch cicadas in the trees for me. How did he drive so wild? The Zhous? Yesterday they were celebrating a wedding. How did they become killers trying to burn me alive? The sound of sparrows pecking came from the tin roof. I dug out the phone from the bundle. When I turned it on, over 20 missed calls popped up. All from Zhou Mingxuan's number. The moment I called back, he picked up immediately. A tearful voice came through. Yingxue. Where are you? A fire broke out at home. I looked for you all night. I stared at the shattered jade bracelet in my palm. I remembered what my mother said before she passed. If things ever get too hard, go find Yun. His father once saved your father's life. Now I finally understand. Why Nanny Chen risked her life to pull me from that fire. Why Brother Yun appeared out of nowhere. Some traps, it turns out, were dug for me the moment I put on those jade earrings. The phone burned in my palm, vibrating. Zhou Mingxuan's crying, mixed with sirens in the background, poured through. I stared at the water-stained map on the warehouse wall. I suddenly remembered what he said when he proposed. Yingxue, from now on, every day will be like Valentine's Day. Now those sweet words just sound like frosting stuck to wedding candy wrappers. One lick and it melts. Underneath, nothing but bitter paper. Just hang up. Brother Yun stubbed out his cigarette and walked in. His shoes scraped the concrete with a harsh screech. They're scouring the city for you, dead or alive. When he crouched down, I saw the scar on the back of his hand. 3 fingers wide. Looked like a knife wound. When we were kids, he climbed into a ditch to fetch my kite. Skinned his knee and didn't even cry. Now he's the type who drives unlicensed cars in the dead of night. Nanny Chen dug half a mung bean cake out of a pile of boxes. Broke it in 2 and handed it to me. Miss, eat something first. Before Madam passed, she sewed Brother Yun's contact into your wedding shoe. Good thing you lost one while running. Before she could finish, her eyes went red. She wiped tears. I recalled the lost slipper. A stiff cloth in the heel, unnoticed then. Now I know it was my mother's backup plan. Brother Yun, how did you know the Zhous were going to make a move? I held the mung bean cake. Crumbs fell onto my plain cotton shirt. Sweet taste mixed with mothballs, gag-inducing. I remember Yun in his blue-white uniform. Crouched at the alley entrance, fixing my bicycle. Chain grease shining on his cuffs. Nothing like now, with that faint smell of gasoline on him. Brother Yun pulled a tin box from his pocket. Inside were loose tobacco and rolling papers. Last month Nanny Chen suddenly contacted me. Said your mother left something for you. Told me to keep an eye on the Zhou family. His hands moved skillfully as he rolled a cigarette. He tapped the tin twice. After your dad's crash. Something felt off. He'd been driving for 20 years. Why would he crash on a dry road? He mentioned my father. Sent a sharp pain through my chest. That stormy night 6 months ago, Dad went to Taipei for business and drove off a cliff. At the funeral, Zhou Mingxian held me and cried all night long. He promised to care for me. Looking back now, the warmth in his arms felt just like the metal roof of that warehouse tonight. This is what your mother gave me. Brother Yun pulled a red cord from around his neck. The metal pendant clinked softly against his collarbone. It was an old military tag with the character carved into it. Before he passed, he said when you get married, if the Zhou family doesn't produce the heirloom jade bracelet, it means they're not after you. They're after your father's company land and your shares. I pulled the shattered jade bracelet from my cotton pocket. The broken edges were still stained with blood. Nanny Chen must have grabbed it from the fire. Mom always wore jade bracelets, gifts from Grandma. Handed down, yet at my wedding, she only gave earrings. So that's it. The real heirloom was hidden somewhere else all along. Your father saved my father's life once. Brother Yun spoke up suddenly, his voice softer than before. The cigarette flickered between his fingers. Typhoon season, 92. My dad took the fishing boat out and never came back. Your father led the search team and found him in the rocks. Later, when my family was drowning in debt and had to sell the house, your mother quietly slipped a bank book to my mom. He just crushed his cigarette into the concrete. The sparks jumped twice and died. So our 2 families go back that far. When I was little, I always thought Brother Yun's family was poor. So he quit school after 8th grade. Now it's clear. All those years, Mom sent me to deliver snacks to his place. It was never about kids sharing. She was repaying a life debt. Nanny Chen suddenly sat up straight. She pulled a yellowed letter from the craft paper envelope. Miss, this is the letter Madam wrote before she passed. Read it only in danger. Paper edges were singed. As if licked by fire. Mom's writing was shaky. She must have written this with trembling hands during chemo. Ingshua, if you're reading this, it means Mom was wrong. Zhou Mingxian failed the test after all. Don't blame them, they followed orders. My orders. Remember this. Something's buried under Dad's company land in Taipei. He had just received the geological report before the accident. The letter stopped abruptly right there. And the last sketch was this crooked jade bracelet. The pattern is identical to the shattered jade bracelet I'm holding. The cries of seagulls drift in from outside the warehouse. Brother Ayuan stands up and rolls his shoulders. His joints creak. Chen has Kaohsiung tickets. We leave at dawn. They think you're dead. Once they realize there's no body in the fire, he trails off. But I already know what's waiting for me. No fake tears, something far more ruthless. Brother Ayuan, what have you been doing all these years? I stare at the frayed cuffs of his sleeves. And suddenly I'm afraid of this stranger who feels so familiar. When we were kids, he always said he'd become a cop. To protect crybabies like me. But now he lives like a man in the shadows. Even the way he talks is guarded. He glances down at his watch. Steel glints cold. Don't ask questions. Just stick with Nanny Chen and go. He pauses, then pulls an old key from his pocket. This is the key to the warehouse your father rented in Tamsui. He went weekly before the crash. The sentence trails. Suddenly tiles crash down from the warehouse roof. Brother Ayuan slams me to the ground. Rusted metal grazes my hair, slams by my feet. Chen packs fast. The Zhou family found us. Ayuan, take the back door. He shoves the craft paper envelope into my arms. And pushes me toward the back alley behind the warehouse. Brother Ayuan takes up the rear. He grabs the rusted metal, grips it tight. Like a knife. Dawn's shadow stretches long. And the boy I remember who used to catch cicadas for me. No longer the man I knew. At the alley. I suddenly remember the words in my mother's letter. Something buried under New Taipei. Dad's crash. The fire at the Zhou estate. And the jade bracelet my mother hid away. These clues are like puzzle pieces scattered across the floor. It's all connecting. At the puzzle's core lies a truth I've never known. The iron door of the Tamsui warehouse is rusted shut. Brother Ayuan has to jam the key 3 times before it opens. The hinges screech. The smell of mildew mixed with motor oil hits us. On the wall hangs a long row of my father's khaki work clothes. Mud-caked hems, like he just removed them. In the corner of the warehouse are a dozen cardboard boxes. Labels read New Taipei Geological Report. All signed for by my father 3 months before the accident. Brother Ayuan crouches down to go through the boxes. A rotted box. As papers spill, a photo slips out. Zhou Mingxian is standing beside a woman in a beige trench coat. Standing on Yang Mingxian. The stone tablet behind us bore Su Shuyue and Zhou Mingxuan's names. May our hearts be forever one. Dated February 14th of this year. Nanny Chen pointed at their engagement photo and spoke. She wiped her hands on her apron again and again. Su Shuyue's father is a property developer from Kaohsiung. He had business dealings with the Zhou family. Before Madam died, she told me to watch Zhou Mingxian. She said he went to a cafe in Ximending every Wednesday. I dug my nails into the edge of the photo, leaving marks on the paper. Zhou Mingxian told me just last month that Su Shuyue was studying abroad in Boston. So they were engaged all along. The woman in the photo was wearing a bracelet that matched my jade earrings. It must be the so-called family heirloom of the Zhou family. Look at this. Brother Ayuan handed me a crumpled contract. Stamped with both the Zhou estate and my father's seals. In the terms for the joint development of the New Taipei land parcel, the responsibilities column for Party B stated, give me all mineral exploration data. I checked the appendix. Father had circled the words shale gas reserves in red ink. Below was marked with 2018 drilling results. So what they wanted was never real estate development. It was shale gas underground. Father got the report before his crash. The Zhou family staged the crash to get the data. And now they tried to burn me alive at the wedding. To take over the company and the land as a matter of course. I recalled the red envelope from my mother-in-law on our wedding night. Inside, besides cash, there was a note. Telling me to give the company seal to Zhou Mingxian after They had planned everything from the start. Miss, look at this. Nanny Chen pulled out a ledger from another cardboard box. First page showed my mother with brother Ayuan's mother. Dated August 1992. Exactly the typhoon day when brother Ayuan's father was rescued. Tucked inside the ledger was a bank transfer slip. From 2010, my mother transferred 300,000 to brother Ayuan's family. The note read Ayuan's tuition. Brother Ayuan suddenly walked to the window. He lifted the rusted tin curtain. Outside, there was a black sedan. License plate ending in 317. It's the Zhou family's driver. He pulled a worn switchblade from his pocket. You two go first. I'll hold them off. No way. We leave together. I grabbed his wrist and felt hard calluses. Completely different from the hands I remembered fixing my bicycle. Brother Ayuan looked down at me, his eyes cold as ice. When your father saved mine, waves nearly swept him away. Now it's my turn to protect you. That's what my father made me promise before he died. Nanny Chen pointed outside and cried, "They're coming." The sound of leather shoes crunching on gravel came from the distance. At least 3 people. Brother Ayuan shoved me into the inner room of the warehouse. He gave me a key. Climb out the vent. Follow rails 500 m to Tamsui station. Nanny Chen, you take her and go. I'll draw them away. That ventilation shaft is full of dust. Nanny Chen crawled in first and reached back to pull me up. I saw half a ferry ticket sticking out of her apron pocket. Destination, Kaohsiung. We had barely gotten inside the shaft when we heard the warehouse door being kicked in. Brother Ayuan's voice mixed with the sound of shattering glass. If you want Lining Shua, you'll have to go through me first. Vent exit an alley. Nanny Chen panted. Dust on her. Ayuan always guards you. In middle school, when those girls from the next class bullied you, he put worms in packs. She paused. A taxi suddenly pulled up at the alley entrance. Nanny shoved us in car. Taipei Main, fast. The taxi was stuck in traffic on Zhongxiao East Road. I flipped through my father's geological survey report. Tucked into the last page was a note. In my mother's handwriting. Zhou Mingxuan's fiancé, Su Shouyue, is actually his cousin. Zhou packed old. They reject you. They want the land in your hands and the things your father hid. So mother knew everything all along. She made me wear the jade earrings to the wedding. To test whether the Zhou family would bring out the family heirloom. If they did, fine. If not, it proved they had ulterior motives. But the Zhou family didn't even prepare a proper wedding gift. They struck hard. Miss, hospital first. Nanny spoke. Pulled out eye drops. Put these in your eyes. Pretend the shock caused memory loss. No body found, they'll think you live. Only by faking amnesia can you go back and find evidence. I stared. Liquid swayed in light. Recalled Zhou's wine on wedding night. Amber liquid with goji berries floating in it. Now I realize. It probably had something in it too. Nanny Chen was right. Only by returning to the Zhou family could I expose their scheme. Only then could I learn. Secrets behind Dad's crash, Mom's last words. What was she trying to tell me? Ji Chengche stopped at NTU hospital. I pressed the shattered jade bracelet into Nanny Chen's palm. Brother Ayuan is still at the warehouse. We can't abandon him. Nanny gave me ticket and envelope. The wrinkles at the corners of her eyes were full of dust. Brother Ayuan knows how to get away. He knows those alleys. Guards can't stop him. Right now, the most important thing is that you make it back alive. To seek justice for Madam and the Master. The hospital corridor reeked of disinfectant. Nanny Chen rushed me to ER, past a hydrant. My frayed collar reflected in glass. Wood splinters from the warehouse clung to my hair. I looked like a lunatic who'd just crawled out of a fire. I thought of Zhou Mingxuan sobbing on the phone. I recalled her smile with the red envelope. My nails dug into my palms without me realizing. You all think I'm some lamb waiting for slaughter? Just wait. I'll play this little drama out with you, nice and slow. The eye drops stung sharply as they went in. Nanny Chen said. These drops would temporarily cloud my pupils. Clock hand past 12 on white wall. When footsteps sounded at the entrance to the emergency room, Zhou Mingxuan's leather soles clacked against the tile. The exact same rhythm as when he paced the bridal suite. Ingshue, he burst in. His tie askew, eyes bloodshot. Yet as he approached me, his steps suddenly slowed. He glanced twice, then touched my shoulder. Thank God, you're alive. The warmth of his palm felt foreign. Nothing like last night in the bridal suite, when he'd fed me the union wine. I pulled back slightly, leaning against Nanny Chen. Who are you? There was a tremble in my voice, and I truly felt sick. Yesterday he burned me, now plays lover. Her husband. Nanny Chen wiped her tears right on cue and said, young madam lost her memory after escaping the fire. She doesn't even recognize me. Zhou Mingxuan's Adam's apple bobbed twice. He told the doctor, discharge us now. We have home care. As he helped me, I caught a faint smell of kerosene on his sleeve. Smell like our wedding wardrobe. At the entrance, his black sedan was parked at the bottom of the steps. The driver wasn't the usual Mr. Li, but a stranger in sunglasses. On the drive back to the Zhou estate, mother-in-law in front, glancing back. Her fingers unconsciously rubbed the jade ring on her ring finger. The one I'd put on her during the tea ceremony yesterday. Like a thorn. Passing Zhongxiao East Road, I yelled fire. Nanny held me down. Young madam, don't be scared. That's just the glow from a billboard. Zhou Mingxian gripped my icy hand, his thumb pressing against the inside of my wrist. There's a scar there from a childhood burn. Ingshue, I'm Mingxian. Your husband. As he spoke, his eyes were fixed on the rearview mirror, and I exchanged a glance with the driver in sunglasses. I let the tears fall, but I knew exactly what was happening. They were testing whether I'd really lost my memory. The carved archway at Zhou family estate was a charred half-pillar. Servants kept their heads down as I walked in. None dared look at me. The bridal suite's wardrobe was replaced with a new one. The scent of camphor would mask the lingering smell of smoke. On the bed sat my favorite pineapple cakes. But the wrapping paper was from that old shop Su Shoyue always loved. Get some rest first. The doctor said you need it. My mother-in-law set a bowl of bird's nest porridge on the nightstand. The porcelain spoon clinked sharply against the bowl's rim. Mingxian, stay and talk with Ingshue. Maybe something will come back to her. As he closed the door, I saw him slip a note behind it. Probably instructions for the servants. Once Zhou Mingxian went to the bathroom, I lifted the pillow. Underneath lay a yellowed photograph. It was a picture of Zhou Mingxian and Su Shoyue together in Saipan. On the back was written, 2024.520, our secret. When Nanny Chen came in with hot water, I quietly slipped the photo into her apron pocket. Her eyelid twitched, and in a voice only we could hear, she said, third drawer in the study. There's a share transfer agreement. Sign it, and you lose everything. Late at night, I heard Zhou Mingxian on the balcony making a call. His lowered voice drifted in with the flicker of his cigarette. He doesn't remember a thing, he told the doctor. Short-term memory loss. Su Shoyue, don't rush. Once we get Lin Group's official seal, we'll announce the engagement. The sea breeze made the word engagement sound sharp and grating, like a rusted blade scraping against glass. The next morning, I followed Nanny Chen to the kitchen. I saw her preparing Zhou Mingxuan's breakfast, sprinkling a white powder into his coffee. It was the sleeping powder my mother left me. She said it could knock someone out for 6 hours in a critical moment. Miss, the study safe uses your birthday as the passcode. She kept wiping plates, her eyes darting toward the staircase. Inside are contracts between your father and the Zhou family, and a prenatal checkup report for Su Shoyue. While Zhou Mingxian lay unconscious in the living room, I slipped into the study. I turned the dial to 715. And with a click, it opened. Right on top was a share transfer agreement, already signed. The transferor was my father's name, but the signature was crooked, clearly forged. Underneath was an ultrasound report. The exam date was 3 months ago. The patient's name read Su Shoyue. Clinical diagnosis, 12 weeks pregnant. Downstairs, servants screamed. Stuffed report and bra, locked safe. When I heard my mother-in-law's footsteps coming upstairs, Ingshue, what are you doing in the study? As she pushed the door open, stared at family portrait. In the photo, Zhou Mingxian was smiling at me, his gaze straight off camera. That's where a portrait of Su Shoyue hung. Pointed to dream of red chamber. That was a coming-of-age gift from my mother. On the cover there's still a photo of me and brother Ayuan together. My mother-in-law walked over, her fingers tracing along the books. This is Mingxuan's favorite book. Don't you remember? As she spoke. I caught a glimpse of a red string peeking out from her sleeve. It looked a lot like the one around brother Ayuan's neck. At lunch. Zhou Mingxian was still passed out. My mother-in-law told me to eat more to build up my strength. Greasy pork, 1 bite. Thought of wedding wine, left. And spat the meat into the toilet. In the mirror, my face was pale. Faint sneer in my eye. You all think amnesia is enough to fool me? Just wait until brother Ayuan shows up with the evidence. You'll all kneel at Zhou's shrine. And cough up everything you've swallowed. 3 days later, the Zhou family hosted a welcome banquet. Invites thanked supporters. When really it was all about putting on a show for the media. Selling my amnesia story. Nanny Chen helped me pick out a pale blue cheongsam. Magnolia collar, mom's flower. But she had no idea. Su Shoyue wore the same dress. The crystal chandeliers in the banquet hall blazed brilliantly. Clutched broken jade bracelet. Heard 4th Aunt read donors. Zhou Mingxian stood beside the head table. Cuff stained with coffee. He thought it was an accident. But I'd done it to cover up the smell of kerosene on his sleeve. Now let's invite Mr. and Mrs. Mingxian to the stage to say a few words. The MC had barely finished speaking when Zhou Mingxian came over and grabbed me. The sweat from his palm soaked through his shirt cuff. I followed his lead and walked forward. As we passed a pillar. Hurled hidden photo at guests. The group photo from Saipan unfurled in midair. 2024 5/20. The words "Our secret" faced directly toward the main stage. The banquet hall went dead silent. Su Shoyue's father slammed the table and shot to his feet. Mrs. Zhou, what is the meaning of this? My mother-in-law's jade ring caught the light. Forcing a smile, he reached down to cut the photo. I stepped on the edge first. Uncle Su, that child in your daughter's belly. Should be calling me sister-in-law, don't you think? The ultrasound slid from the slit of my cheongsam. I let it drift to Su Shoyue's feet on purpose. She was wearing 3-inch pearl stilettos. She stumbled backward and crashed into the champagne tower. Golden liquid streamed across the tablecloth like a river. Reflecting her ghost-white face. Zhou Mingxian lunged for the ultrasound. I raised my hand and slapped him across the face. The shattered jade on my ring sliced his cheek. 3 months pregnant, you still tried to burn me alive. You think everyone here is blind? Yingxue, my mother-in-law, suddenly broke into sobs. She grabbed my wrist and dug her nails in. You've lost your memory. You're confused. It's a misunderstanding. I pulled the fake transfer from my dress. Dad's signature shone in the spotlight. My father signed with his left hand. Didn't you know that, Uncle Zhou? After the crash, his hand was crushed. Sobs rippled through the guests. A lawyer in glasses stood up. Miss Lin. The notarization date was after the accident. Yet hospital records show. He was still unconscious then. I nodded. Nanny Chen slipped me these documents this morning. His old staff kept a backup all along. Zhou Mingxian suddenly grabbed me by the hair. My hairpin clattered to the floor. You were never amnesiac. Bloodshot veins crawled through his eyes. Exactly like the night he doused the wardrobe in kerosene. I seized his tie and yanked him down. Until the tip of his nose pressed against mine. I remember the sleeping pills you slipped into the Union wine. I recall Mom's hidden power, and more. You pouring kerosene all over my hand-embroidered Suzhou dowry quilt. Lights died. A hand grabbed me. Nanny Chen pulled me aside. She clutched the geological report stolen from the safe. Miss, they're trying to destroy the evidence. The sound of shattering glass echoed from the hallway. I pulled out my phone and switched on the flashlight. The harsh beam caught Zhou Fu throwing documents into a fire pit. Exploration data curled and blackened in the flames. Everyone, look. I raised my phone toward the fire pit. On the burning documents, the words reserves of 30 billion cubic meters were clearly visible. The Zhou family didn't marry me for alliance. It was for the shale gas field my father's company owns. They staged the car accident that killed my father. Tried to burn me alive for land. Applause echoed from the banquet hall. Ayuan stood on stairs, unseen. Holding up a memory card from a dashcam. Mr. Zhou. Footage, you buying kerosene. I've got 3 more copies. His wrist was wrapped in bandages. Probably from that fight at the Tamsui warehouse. Want to take a look? Recording, Yuan Su on disposal. Su Shoyue suddenly dropped to her knees. Her nails dug into the hem of my cheongsam. Ing Shue, Mingshan forced me into this. He said he would marry me as soon as I helped him get the land. Zhou Mingshan kicked her hard in the back. Her pearl heel flew off and smashed into the fire hydrant. Sirens and guest screams mixed into chaos. I looked at the wreckage all around. Suddenly remembered the words in my mother's letter. Some debts must be settled in broad daylight. Nanny-chan brought an electric megaphone from the service desk. Her voice blasted through the banquet hall speakers. Everyone, the shattered jade bracelet in young madam's hand is a Zhou family heirloom passed down for 5 generations. It was supposed to be given to her on the wedding night. But look, a harsh light hit Madame Zhou's hand. She quickly covered it. But the inside of her jade ring clearly bore the engraving Su Shoyue. The characters for 2024-2. So the Zhou family had long prepared a token for their real in-law. I raised shards. The bloodstains at the broken edges had already turned black, and I was nothing but a stumbling block in their eyes. Guests began leaving the banquet hall. Su Fu, stone-faced, yanked Su Shoyue to her feet. As they passed Zhou Mingshan, he slapped him hard across the face. You even deceived your own cousin. You're absolutely heartless. Someone lunged, nails at my eyes. I dodged, he hit the glass table. Glass shattered across the floor in a deafening cascade. Brother Ayuan rushed over and shielded me. The sirens came from just outside the estate. The salty sea scent on him mixed with the smell of gunpowder. More reassuring than any perfume. Lining Shue. Zhou Mingshan leaned against the wall and laughed. And it drips down my chin onto my tie. You think getting evidence means you've won? Your father's accounts are dry. Those tests were fakes. Before he could finish, the wail of sirens cut him off. Nanny-chan suddenly whispered in my ear, Mississippi. The madam hid another letter in your wedding dress. The red glow of police lights swept across the banquet hall. I felt along the inner lining of my cheongsam. My fingertips brushed against the texture of paper. As Zhou Mingshan was led away by the police. He kept yelling, you're not the Lin family's daughter. But he missed that my mother's broken jade bracelet is the heirloom proving my bloodline to Taiwan's richest Lin group. This game has only just begun. After the police cars drove off, Brother Ayuan drove us to the old warehouse at Keelung Harbor. The gauze on his wrist was seeping blood. Yet he insisted on checking the warehouse perimeter first. Something felt off about Zhou Mingshuan's last words. He said you're not the Lin family's daughter. Before he could finish, Nanny-chan cut him off. She pulled a sandalwood box from her cloth bag. Carved on the lid was half a magnolia branch. It matched the embroidery on my cheongsam exactly. The madam had me sew this in before she died. Nanny-chan opened it. A yellowed newspaper scrap lay inside. The front page of United Daily News, March 1987. The headline read, Lin Group Chairman makes secret visit to Tainan. Rumors of an illegitimate daughter resurface. In the photo, a middle-aged man held a swaddled infant. Along the edge of the blanket peeked half a jade bracelet. The pattern matched the shattered jade bracelet in my hand. Look here. She put on glasses, pointed to a tiny corner line. The Lin heirloom, jade bracelets, 1 male, 1 female. Male stays with chairman, female goes to blood heirs. The madam taught in Tainan. She and your real father, who is Chairman Lin, shared a history together. I stared at the swaddled infant in the photo. I recalled the empty jewelry box in Mom's coffin. I clearly remembered seeing a complete jade bracelet placed inside. Yet now the shattered jade bracelet in my hand held only half. Brother Ayuan pulled an envelope from his pocket. The seal bore the wax stamp of the Lin Group. This came from your biological father's lawyer. He said the truth would be revealed to you when you turn 25. The handwriting on the letter pressed deep into the paper. It began, my daughter Ing Shue. When you read this, your father will be gone. In 1986, I met your mother in Tainan. Back then, I hadn't yet inherited the family business. I believed I could give you and your mother a stable life. But family forced me back to Taipei. The jade bracelet was from your grandmother. She said once you came of age, this would prove your lineage. Mid-letter, a check slipped from a hidden fold. The amount read, 300 million new Taiwan dollars. The memo said it was demolition pay for our old Tainan house. Nanny Chen then brought out a photo album. The first page had a photo of Mother and Chairman Lin together. The background was Tainan Confucius Temple. Between them stood a baby girl wearing a silver locket. The locket was engraved with two characters, Ing Shue. Madam was afraid the Zhou family would trace your origins. So she deliberately made sure you took your adoptive father's surname. Nanny Chen wiped the dust from the album. Your adoptive father was actually your birth father's driver. That car crash all those years ago, maybe he died protecting you. He meant the man I'd always known as my father. A driver of 20 years, who suddenly plunged off a cliff. Brother Yun suddenly flipped the sandalwood box over. The bottom was carved with a series of numbers, 0715-1990. That's my birthday. He frowned and said. In the geological report for the Tamsui warehouse, a document mentions moving the Lin ancestral graves. The relocation date matches the time your birth father died. The Zhou family may know your link to Lin Group. That's why they're not just after the shale gas land. They want to swallow your entire inheritance. Tracing the jade's jagged edge, it finally hit me. Why Mother kept rubbing it over and over before she died. This wasn't just some family heirloom. It's the key to unlocking the Lin Group inheritance. What Zhou Mingxian shouted at the banquet. So they had investigated my background all along. But they underestimated Mother's hiding. Miss, one more thing. Nanny Chen pulled a yellowed slip from the box's secret slot. Mother's writing, when you put on the shattered jade bracelet. Go to Yu Huchen Tea House at Taipei Circle. Find Nanny Zhang, the one in the dark green cheongsam. She'll take you to meet your birth father's sworn brother. On the back was a hand-drawn floor plan of the tea house. A second-floor private room circled repeatedly in red ink. Outside the warehouse, a cargo ship's horn sounded as it docked. Brother Yun checked his watch. 3 a.m. There's a slow boat to Tainan. Nanny Chen, taking Shue to Yu Huchen. I'll investigate the Zhou family's mole inside the Lin Group. He pulled off his military dog tag and pressed it into my hand. The pendant was warm. If in danger, show them this. My father's old brothers all recognize it. Clutching gold hairpin and jade, I recalled my wedding night. What Zhou Mingxian said when he put the jade earrings on me. My mother saved up to buy these when she was young. They're meant for our daughter, but now I see. They never planned to let me live long enough to give birth. The child in Su Shouyua's belly. That was the heir to the Zhou family they always planned for. When Nanny Chen tidied the box, an old photo slipped out. A young version of her standing at Tainan railway station. Beside her stood Chairman Lin in a suit, holding a cardboard box. Written on it, Ing Shue's belongings. So the uncle my mother always mentioned never existed. Nanny Chen cared for me, not just because my mother asked, but to fulfill my biological father's final wish. Time to go. Brother Yun pressed the car keys into my hand. He walked off, taking my car toward the roundabout. License plate 9137. If stopped, say you're delivering medicine to Grandma. His silhouette under the warehouse lights looked impossibly tall. Like when he'd chase off boys who bullied me as kids. Exactly the same. Sitting in the driver's seat. I ran my fingers over a scar on the steering wheel. A word Brother Yun had carved with a switchblade, N. The same character on his military tag. In the rearview mirror, Nanny Chen was slipping pineapple cakes into my bag. Still from the shop Su Shouyua always loved. So some truths were hidden in everyday details all along. Waiting for the right moment, like the fracture on the broken jade bracelet. One day it'll fit the other half. As the car left the port, pale dawn broke. I turned on the radio. Early morning. News was reporting developments on the arson at Zhou family estate. The anchor said police found, in the ashes, a forged share transfer agreement and kerosene cans. Zhou Mingxuan's voice suddenly cut in, tearfully apologizing to the public. But not one word about my father's car accident or my true identity. Nanny Chen, I asked, how much did my real father leave? Nanny Chen glanced at me through the rearview mirror. The white hairs at her temples catching the morning light. Back then, his family forced him to marry a Taipei heiress. But he put everything in your name. Once the bracelet's whole, you can open the vault at Taichung Bank. Inside are deeds, stocks, and things he never finished. She simply gestured toward the shattered jade bracelet in my hand. The tires clattered over the railway tracks. Ahead was Tai North Roundabout. On the neon sign, the words Yuhu Chun loomed faintly through the morning mist. Nanny Zhang, in dark green cheongsam, swept leaves at the door. The key ring at her waist jingling softly. I touched the tag and shattered bracelet, and suddenly understood what the Zhou family wanted. It was never just about the liquid ammonia at my father's company. It's about the Lin group blood running through my veins. This fire revealed my true birth. But that was just intermission. The next number on the program? Making the Zhou family pay for their greed. So my mother and my birth father can finally rest in peace. Ayuan scar and badges in Tainan's photo all say the same. Brutal roads, but not walked alone. Turning pain to triumph. Yu Huchin's second floor was filled with the delicate fragrance of Tiguanyin tea. Nanny Chen, in her dark green cheongsam, closed the door. From the top of the cabinet, she pulled down a sandalwood box. Inside lay half of a jade bracelet carved with cloud patterns. The patina on its broken edge matched mine perfectly. Your birth father entrusted this to me before he died. As she spoke, I noticed a magnolia tattoo on the inside of her wrist. It was identical to the hidden pattern on my mother's funeral dress. The bracelets chimed in clear harmony. Whole again, sunlight struck the table, revealing 4 seal script characters. Lin Group Dikmai. Nanny Chen gave a document. Box at Taichung Bank. Kia Chuixin. Your father's estate is yours. Tainan Land, Kaohsiung Dock shares. Then she pointed to the group photo on the wall. Back when the family forced him into that marriage, he secretly held on to 30% of Lin Group's original shares. The moment the safe was opened, Nanny Chen burst into tears. Inside were neatly arranged deeds, stock certificates, a wax-sealed letter, jade bracelet stamped. The letter said my biological grandmother, on her deathbed, secretly gave the jade bracelet to my mother. The legitimate son would never accept a bastard. And my adoptive father, my birth father's driver, had spent all these years covering for us. Even that car crash was meant to draw the pursuers away. The Zhou family had already bought off Lin Group's CFO last month. Brother Ayuan's call came in right then. I could hear keyboard clacking in the background. They want to prove before you turn 25 that you're not of Lin blood. That way, as estate administrators, they'd seize all. Nanny hid proof. And your birth father's lawyer left backup, the court summons, and sent it to Zhou's the day I prayed in Tainan. The news said Zhou Mingxian had been indicted for suspected murder, document forgery, and commercial fraud. Su Shuyue's father was implicated too. Turns out they'd been scheming at Kaohsiung Harbor all along. They were secretly moving the shale gas drilling equipment. Nanny Chen sighed, placing cakes on the altar. Madam would be thrilled you got the bracelet back. By the time Brother Ayuan came to pick us up, his wrist now wore a simple bandage. He leaned against the car door and smiled. Morning light softened the lines around his eyes. I'm taking you to a seaside house in Keelung. A new sign in Yingzhu hung on the wooden door. And from his name, and Ing from mine, on the bookshelf inside, sat a photo of us as children, plus all his saved ferry tickets from dock years. Brother Ayuan pulled out an old tin box from the drawer. Inside were parts for a seashell wind chime. I was going to confess my feelings after you graduated from college, but then Zhou Mingxian deceived you into getting engaged. He blushed, then grabbed my bracelet hand. When you broke your leg at 9, I knew I'd carry you forever. Sea breeze smelled salty. I traced the scar on the back of his hand. He saved me from a falling pipe at Thamesway. So it turns out some feelings. They hid in bike grease from his repairs. Hidden in the steady calm of his speeding through a fire. Hidden in the back that shielded me from harm. Brother Ayuan, I gently shook the jade bracelet on my wrist. Right now, I am both Lin Xue, and that same crybaby from the alley entrance, who always asked you to catch cicadas. He suddenly pulled me into his arms. His jacket smelled saltier than I remembered. You don't have to be afraid anymore. I'll protect you in our home. And then he looked down at the jade bracelet on my wrist. And everything that's rightfully yours. 3 months later, at the Zhou family trial, I appeared in court as the lawful heir of the Lin Group. When the judge sentenced Zhou Mingxian to 15 years in prison, he suddenly shouted, "You think inheriting the estate means you've won? The Lin Group's board of directors will never accept a bastard like you. He cut off. Nanny Zhang walked in with more than a dozen men in suits. Leading them was my birth father's sworn brother. Each one held a Lin Group stock certificate in hand. Per the will, Nanny Zhang gave papers to the judge. Shareholders who have held original stock for more than 5 years can nominate a direct heir to the board. He nodded. The silver hair at his temples gleamed in the sunlight. And besides, you have this. He lifted the jade bracelet from the box. The Lin crest gleamed clear under lights. As I walked out of the courthouse, Brother Ayuan was feeding cats when he saw me. He scooped one up without missing a beat. Come on. Let's head to Tainan to see Grandma's old house. Nanny Chen said the royal poincianas are blooming down there. His fingers brushed across the back of my hand. That scar from the shattered tiles when I fled the fire, still there. It lined up perfectly with the scar on his hand, palm to palm. The setting sun stretched our shadows long. 2 silhouettes swaying along the sidewalk. Until at the corner, they merged into one. Brother Ayuan suddenly leaned down and kissed the top of my head. You know, the way you threw those photos around at the banquet. Cooler than catching cicadas as kids. I nudged him. Then I glanced at his phone. He changed his wallpaper. It was us in the warehouse, wearing the jade bracelet together. The contact name read, My Girl. Finally home. The sound of the sea drifted in from the distance. Just like that typhoon night all those years ago. Dad's ship horn, sailing out to save lives. Now I understand. Some of fate's gifts. Always stitched into the clues Mom sewed in my wedding shoes. Hidden in Brother Ayuan's 20 years of unwavering devotion. Hidden in the fate that would reunite the broken jade bracelet. And as for the story of me and Brother Ayuan, it's only just beginning. Here in this harbor town. With sea breeze, cicadas, and each other. We'll live the days ahead. Until they shine even brighter than that jade bracelet ever did.